Welcome to Living Well with Beal. Our show is a health show, a lifestyle show, and an empowerment show rolled into one. Get ready to hear some stories of success, healthy living tips, and suggestions to get motivated and live your best life. Now, here is your host, Beal.
Hello, everyone. This is your host, Beal, life coach and licensed counselor. Welcome to Living Well, the show with high-profile celebrities and guests who have found the keys to living healthy, successful, and fulfilling lives. Today, my guest is Tommy Kirby, millionaire, business owner, and CEO. Welcome to the show, Tommy.
It's good to be here today, Ann. How are you today?
I am wonderful. I'm doing really well, and I'm so excited to have you here because you have a great life story.
Yes, I do.
Well, okay, so we are in Fort Worth, Texas today.
Yes.
And where are you actually from?
I'm actually from Fort Worth, Texas. I was born and raised in Fort Worth.
In the little town of Fort Worth.
In the little bitty town of Cowtown.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school at Polytechnic in the Polytechnic area.
Is that the Poly Parrots?
Yes, ma'am, it sure is. You must really be on your toes to know we're the Parrots.
The Parrots. I always thought the Parrots didn't seem very scary.
Well, they weren't scary. Actually, we had them as pets.
As pets. Okay. Well, let's dive right in. You have a lot of experience, and we want to kind of go through it a little bit and get all the tidbits of information to help the listeners know how this can help them in business and in their life. You have quite a bit of experience. So you must be about 80 years old, and you have 40 years in construction.
That's correct.
So you must have gone into construction like when you were little, like young, like right out of high school, college?
Pretty close to it, pretty much to it. I had a real niche or a real drawing to construction, and I really liked building things.
Well, how did that happen? So you went right out of high school then?
Yes.
And so you had a lot of jobs leading up to where you have your own business now, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. You know, it's interesting because it seems like all of the self-made millionaires that I know, and I mean self-made millionaires, they didn't go to college.
That's correct. I did not go to a college. I went into the workforce, actually, and learned from the workforce.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Did you start your own business right out of high school, or did you just start working for people?
I always had a real yearning to work for myself, but I started with the odd jobs here and there and things that led up to the fact that I could be responsible enough to work for myself.
What kind of jobs did you have?
I had jobs that were, the first three jobs weren't very meaningful as far as construction, and they didn't draw my attention, but I had several jobs that when I was younger that like carpentry work. I worked really extremely hard at that, and wanted to realize that at that time in life that being a carpenter was very, very important. Of course, our Savior was a carpenter too. So.
Yeah, he was a carpenter.
Yes,
that's cool.
Yes.
Well, I know in your background one time you laid asphalt. Yes. I was reading about that. How hard was that? That sounds hard.
Oh, it was extremely hard, and it was. I could tell that was, even though it was in construction business, it was a form of construction that I wasn't particularly drawn to.
Yeah. Well, how profitable was that business?
It's not really. At that time, I thought it would be profitable, but it was something that it wasn't very good for Tommy Ray.
So tell me, of all the jobs you had, which was the hardest job?
The hardest job I had was never a real hard job, Ann. No, they were kind of. There was some had more obstacles than I wanted to bear, but.
I was wondering because I saw one where you were laying concrete or something like that, and it just seemed like it would be hard work.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. And being young and in the concrete business and the ready mix business, and being young, when you start out, you kind of have to you have to work hard. You work yourself physically because the labor force is not quite there with you yet. So, so you actually you wind up working a lot of hours, a lot of time, a lot of physical labor.
So that was physical, a lot of physical.
Yes, it was.
Well, it seems like that would push you to know physically the max of what you could do when you're doing concrete.
Oh, yeah. When I went home, I really felt strong.
You felt strong.
Yes.
Well, okay. So then eventually you went to work for a guy who had a construction business. And did you mentor under him, or how did that work?
Yes. I was pretty fortunate. The very first guy that I had worked for, he was a civil engineer, and he was doing foundations and things that or concrete work that was related to his trade. So we had some pretty good jobs, and he took a liking to me. He said I was a decent and kind person and a good worker. So the very first week, this gentleman he gave me a $5 an hour raise, and I said, well, now come on, this is not hard to figure out. This is where my niche is.
I like him.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Well, okay. So how did you get into starting your own business? How did that work?
Well, I had a real desire, actually, from a child to work for myself, and tried my hand at the asphalt business, and I tried my hand at several things, But I got into it because I just had a real drawing. It was something that I felt a calling to do as a human, and as to make myself free.
How did it feel going before you actually got to the point you started your own business? How did it feel going from job to job to job over the years, not really finding what you were really wanting?
A lot of times I felt like, there's got to be a different, there's something out there that a man can do to make himself worthy to himself and profitable at the same time. So as I tried these jobs, I kind of like, if it was so negative or so unpositive in my flow or my activity or my abilities, I kind of backed off of those, following those or pursuing those avenues of trade or business. Now, being a young man, I actually was searching for my purpose in life as well.
So you knew you hadn't found it yet?
Yes.
Okay. And how old were you when you actually started your business?
I was about 26, 27 years old.
26. Mm-hmm. Okay, 27. So that was about 18 to 20. That was like 8 years of going, like changing jobs every year, every couple of years.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. What did you find after all that time when you finally got in construction? What did you find that you did not know how to do?
I found that it's the creativeness of it, the wonderful finish of it. When you actually are putting ready mix on the ground, it's permanent, pretty much permanent.
Permanent.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And I like that. I tried to and I did the best that I could, and tried to perfect it. And I tried to learn all there was to know about my particular trade, and it was just a real challenge to me, and I loved it because I was good at it.
Did you need to know math?
Oh my! When I was pretty young, I feel sorry for young people that don't think they need to know their math, or that what am I going to use this for? But,
right.
So when I finally got started, I realized that the math was extremely, extremely important. Geometry and algebra.
Oh, gosh.
And all these things that I thought in high school was just, why am I learning this? And then all of a sudden it came into my into my part of my life, in figuring volumes and in estimating and all kinds of things. It was just I had to kind of like teach myself all over again, like because, in high school I had a tendency I could just get through this class. But then when I got out into the workforce, I really had to use it. And then I kind of like had to teach myself all over again.
Well, I majored in math and had no idea what I was going to do with it. But running my own business now, I constantly use it for accounting, to figure out how much I make every day, to, give people change, when you think about the accounting side of it, to make sure that people are paying you right or that the bills are paid or anything like that. I just think, I'm so thankful that I know math. And I would think in construction, because you also, dirt, the volumes of dirt, how much dirt you have, all of the knowing how much concrete to get, and definitely even just money, just understanding money. How did you learn that?
Well, there's a little bit of difference between just knowing money and knowing accounting. And actually accounting is a little bit different than just numbers. When you look at the basic accounting, there is a method to accounting. It's kind of like a template or whatever we need to do and to make ends meet. But that's the ultimate of accounting. But I had to learn accounting in a proper method to do it. The things that I leaned towards in accounting was I didn't know it.
You didn't know it.
No, I didn't. Yeah. So I had to teach myself, really.
How about being a salesman to sell it?
Well, no, I wasn't too bad at selling it. I had a real feel for people, and I enjoyed people, and I enjoyed working for people. And most of the time, the reward of being with people it was not hard to sell myself at all because I was genuine.
So was the bidding part, so if the sales part wasn't tough because you naturally have this charisma about you, how about the bidding part?
Well, now you can have all the charisma you want. Right. You can have everything. You can have your accounting in order and everything. But if you're not, and you can sell till you're blue in the face, and you can sell and you can sell and you can sell. But if you don't produce and make money at it, then the next day may be very well unprofitable due to the fact that we are trying to make a living and make more money.
Okay. Well, I was wondering about that because I know that bidding in general is a tough thing to do it right, to not underbid or overbid. Mm-hmm. Being an actual entrepreneur and learning all that is pretty phenomenal. So you did really well.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Did you quickly do well?
No. There was lots of training and there was lots of trial and error. There was lots of doing jobs for nothing. And that was in lots of hours too, Ann. Lots and lots of hours.
Lots of hours, okay.
Yes, it was.
So how did that happen with your family?
Well, needless to say, when you put in a lot of hours, your children and your family do not see you during daylight hours.
Yeah.
I think that it's not much different than farming or something of that nature. When the sun's shining, you make hay. And when the sun's shining, you pour ready mix. So
now it's been many years later. Mm-hmm. And so you started off and you were doing really successful and really well. So why weren't you happy?
There was a little bit of, there was an emptiness in me. I had worked most of my life and had followed my dream of being a business owner. And when you get to a point where you think you're successful or you feel successful, it doesn't really mean that you are successful. It just means you have money. And so I had to really search. I had all the answers and things that I needed for to be in business and to be successful in business. But then, too, as a businessman, you get a little bit more mature in this, and you realize that that all of that was, you had to put it together, and you had to realize that there was more responsibility to life than just being in business.
Right. Okay. So for you, you know, before we go into the break, you had lots of money. Did your family enjoy the money?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They enjoyed it.
They enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about your kids?
Yes, they enjoyed it. They didn't have a need for anything when we were young.
Yeah. Were they happy? What do you think?
They kind of had their times of happiness, and, you know, they enjoyed the gifts.
Right.
And but I think in my heart that they probably would have enjoyed their father a little more time at home.
Yeah, that's the main thing, not being there.
Yes.
And so when you look back, is that one of the things that you wish you'd have done differently?
Oh, yes, for sure. I hugged and loved those children with all my heart.
It is a hard balance, you know, to really achieve that. And I think that, you know, when people are looking for nirvana or trying to find the best life, they pick one thing or the other. They pick money, or they pick family, or, you know, they sacrifice one or the other. They sacrifice friends. They may sacrifice church. What's the truth about all that?
The truth is if you're going to be a successful business owner, you have to put the time in.
Yeah.
You have to.
You have to.
And there's not and I feel sorry for businessmen today, no matter what business whether they're selling toys or doing ready mix or whatever type of business the men are in today. I feel sorry for them that they have to put the time in.
Well, and I think we're going to go from there and go on to a commercial break, and we'll pick up from there for Tommy to tell us you put a lot of time in and then you find balance. And I want to hear the secret to that. So we'll get you back soon.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
Have you ever noticed that sometimes life just feels easier, especially when judgment of you or anyone else ceases to exist? What if you could function from that space all the time? What if gratitude is the key? Every time you are grateful for someone or something, a new universe opens up. What difference can you create in your life and the world from the energy, space, and consciousness of gratitude? Join us on Access Consciousness Presents Beyond Saying Thank You every Tuesday at 12 noon Pacific Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
There are 13 unbreakable habits of truly enlightened people. These life-changing habits are discussed on Dream the Life, Live the Dream with Dr. Yomi Garnett. We'll offer an excursion in self-discovery, along with wisdom that will allow you to stay on the correct path toward your destiny. You can find excellence in your life. Tune in every Thursday at 7 a.m. U.S. Pacific Time. That's 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel for this exciting transformational journey.
Are you looking for life's answers? How about the meaning of true self? Can you really be a better person overnight? Well, good luck with that. Now, if you want to know more about this insane world and life we lead, tune in to Absurd Psychology, Straight Answers Without All the Bull, hosted by Dr. Gary Bell. You'll learn about how the brain operates under different psychological conditions, some common sense. Heck, you might just actually learn something. Listen Mondays at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern on Voice America Empowerment.
Build your better business. Achieve that goal. Make good on that resolution. The Voice America Empowerment Channel. It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed.
You are listening to Living Well with Ann Beal. We'd love to hear from you with comments and questions about the show. Please send us an email to ablivingwell@gmail.com. That's ablivingwell@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's show.
Welcome back. This is your host, Ann Beal, with my guest, Tommy Kirby. I'd love for you guys to email us, ablivingwell@gmail.com. We would love to hear your comments. And Tommy, we were talking about that with all your success, there was something missing.
Yes, there is. There was something missing in my life, Ann, and I knew Christ spiritually, and I knew that my duty and love was to be with Christ, and also to be with my family. You know, God set up that institution, and after I had become accomplished in my work, it really wasn't worth a whole lot except to me. My family was very important, and so there was a time that I felt really, really abandoned, and felt lonely, and felt tired because I had kind of like just left him out there.
Well, did you feel? Well, I know you felt a lot of good things about being successful. That
yes. That was absolutely a given. I promise.
I would think a lot of self-esteem would come from that.
Yes.
And did your family really understand?
Well, when you're directly involved with certain things, sometimes your family doesn't quite understand my success and my goals of accomplishment. Now, because they're seeing their father, right, and your wives, the wives of men and businessmen are seeing their husband. They're not seeing the accomplished guy that people see of the world.
Now, did they work with you? Did your wife work with you in the business?
No, she really didn't care to. She kind of was. She was very good support. I mean, spiritually and mentally, but she had a lonely feeling because I was working so many hours.
She missed you. I bet
yes,
she married.
Yes.
I bet she married you because she wanted to spend time with you.
Because I was a real handsome guy.
It's so funny that marriage. You can't even stand being away from each other for a night, right?
Yes, that's
so you
right.
have to move in together, so you're not away at all.
Yep.
And then over time, you get kind of obsessed in some ways with other things, and you can forget somebody's waiting at home. But I know for you, you did say you have to put in time to be successful, and I think that's true. You have to have a good work ethic. You have to put in hard work. And so how did you get to the point when you felt maybe your lowest? What do you think you felt like?
Well, my spiritual life as well, it suffered some, but I managed as a young man to always realize that Christ was in charge of everything. Now, when I was at full throttle, I wonder if it was me or it was or the world drawing me into that. So, but Christ kept me at a good bridle there of making me whole, and but He also wanted me to be successful at the same time, because He actually turned and give me the blessings. He laid out my life for me in my business, because I knew that my calling was to be who I was.
But I remember one time you told me that you laughed about it. You said there was a time when you knew you needed God in your business.
Yes.
And you decided to serve Him on Sunday.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I think that's after the Holy Spirit had given me a tremendous spanking for some work not done very well, and I had to kind of like redo it. It was part of the learning process.
That was a big financial loss then.
Oh, yes, it was. It was.
I could tell in your face it was painful, even to mention.
Very, very painful.
Yeah, so God kind of gave you felt like you got a spanking in some ways or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so you committed to Sundays.
Yes, I did. I sure did. When I committed to Sundays, I was being honest and sincere with my Savior. I wanted to satisfy Him. I started getting the real spiritual feelings of life, and wanted to make Him happy and proud of me at the same time, instead of me walking through life as if I could do it all. Mm-hmm. Because I was at the time, you young businessman, you're thinking, look what I can do, And then God shows you, well, let me show you. If you think you can do these things, you get yourself out of this trouble. So when I had the experience of having to learn about redos.
Yeah, redos.
Redos, yes. Mm-hmm. It brought me to a fact of spiritual world of my business as well.
Well, and I know that you like the story about Cain.
Oh, yes.
In that he was cast away from his family. Mm-hmm. He was cursed. But he still became the first businessman. You talked about that. I've heard you talk about that.
Yes. When Cain was cast from Adam and Eve, and because God had put him out of the land where Adam and Eve was, and because he had slew his brother, God took him and told him to go to another land, and sent Cain to the land of Nod. And when he went into Nod, he went in there, and he got there, and he built a city called Enoch. Mm-hmm. So, and then he brought resources from the ground where he forged implements, tools, or whatever it might be. Maybe even implements of war. I don't know.
That's kind of cool, though, to think. I think most people, all they think of Cain is that he killed his brother.
Yes.
Right? They don't know anything else about him. Mm-hmm. And I think probably most people listening don't know he went into construction and he built a city.
That's right.
And so even though his plight was, difficult, mm-hmm. he thought people would want to kill him, so God still protected him mm-hmm. and put a mark on him. But he went and started working, and maybe to feel better about himself, feel better about God. But he did some really incredible things, and I see why you relate to that mm-hmm. because, we're fallen creatures,
right.
And yet we still build, we still put our hands to work. Mm-hmm. And so, what is it that you identified with that? You think?
Well, being cast out by God and being sent to another city, I have a earnest and sincere feeling spiritually that Cain was constantly trying to get approval from God, Jehovah God himself. And he wanted approval, so he felt the harder he worked at being a builder or an industrialist or a salesman, no matter what it was, he was thinking that God would probably spare him.
Yeah.
And he was getting spared only on the earth, it seemed.
Well, and he was building his own empire.
Oh, yes. Yes, so, very much. Very first businessman.
So were you building your empire? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know that some things happened to you, and you call it your dark place, kind of, and yet you were very successful. And I always kid around about businessmen and golf.
Oh, yeah. That is mandatory. You cannot be a businessman without playing golf, because it's a challenge of life, Miss Ann.
Well, explain to me how it is that you get addicted to golf.
Well, I think we play at different conditions. We play at different times, and we play with different physical abilities each day. And so what was good yesterday is not good today in golf.
Well, and it is very addictive.
Yes, it is.
So did you get lost in that? Because it takes a lot of time. And I have wives, okay? I have women complain to me about their husbands with golf because they leave and they're gone half the day.
Yes.
It takes a long time to play a round of golf. Mm-hmm. And so they feel left behind again. Their husband's finally out of business, but he's off golfing, doing business. Because you did business on the golf course, didn't you?
Oh, yes. You can. The business I did on the golf course, I've gotten some really good relations with some good businessmen on the golf course, and sincere.
Well, don't you think that's how you can end up doing it a lot? There's so many excuses you can make about building business when you're off from work and golfing. Your addictions in general that you've talked about. I know cigars, which again is very common with businessmen.
Yes.
When we talk about it, what happened to you and all that? When you look back, why is that a bad thing?
Well, it was. I kind of felt that it was a bad thing because it was an addiction. It was an addiction to a certain degree because it was a constant, I've got to get good at this. Being accomplished in business, and learning the accounting and the selling and all the things that I had to learn, and then being accomplished at that, golf was something I constantly, continuously tried to perfect. And the golf game, you cannot perfect.
No, I don't think you can.
No.
Isn't that why any man, no matter how good he is?
No.
Did your family hate golf?
Well, no, not really, but they wished, again, you see, they seen a trend where they had rather have me with them, but I enjoyed it. I played golf pretty much quite a bit.
I do remember when your pastor said something about your cigar smoking. That was quite an event. And yet it did, the whole thing kind of, you were changing at that point. I know that you felt empty in a lot of ways, and even with all that money. And eventually you came to coaching.
Yes.
What do you think drove you to that?
Because deep down inside, even after I'd been accomplished again as a businessman and semi-accomplished in golf and all these things, I had a drive in me that, or I had a feeling or something was driving in me to be, I was angry. I was either angry because I couldn't be accomplished at something or whatever, and I had a lot of anger in me, and I had a lot of envy, and I had a lot of pride, and didn't realize that it was deep down in my core.
Do you know what the anger was?
With a little coaching, I actually, yes, ma'am. I'm telling you, the coaching is something that I would suggest that all businessmen actually do some sort of life coaching.
Why do you say that?
Because we really don't realize we kind of walk through the briar patch thinking we're not going to get scratched. And we may not get scratched, but we can't walk through the briar patch without getting scratched. And so I'm thinking that because we're accomplished, we're so overwhelmed with our own pride that we overlook the anger and
But there had to be something. What was the main push that brought you in? Because there had to be something to push you over that line to finally decide on life coaching.
I felt miserable.
Oh.
I felt horrible. I felt very empty, and I felt like that I was extremely heartbroken.
Heartbroken.
Yes.
That's a really good thing to get you there.
Yes.
Okay. So I remember that you were very difficult following instructions. It's almost like when there were things you did to the T. You were very good at your quiet time. I had asked you to journal, right?
Yes.
And it was a while before I realized you weren't journaling based on the instructions. You were doing it your way, right?
Yes.
And I at times, and it would laugh because that's what happens with these successful businessmen.
Yes.
It's hard to get them to understand that some of the simplest things will help them the most. They're used to doing such incredible things, hard things, and they come expecting something phenomenal, hard, difficult, and they're ready to dig in. I'm going to do it and change my life. And then we give you simple things, and it is very hard.
It's extremely hard, Miss Ann. Only you and I can know those things. And I'm sure that if most people would examine, especially businessmen, would examine themselves, they would be the same type of empty feeling. And they need to bring that out.
What do you think in coaching was some of the, what did you go through? Was it heart-wrenching?
It was very, very, very good for me. It actually had me examine who I was from a child to now, to the very day that I was journaling about and going back and connecting and rewiring where pains and anger and things like that had kind of drawn me away from true meaning of life.
Yeah, I think the things that, life coaching the only thing it goes back to are the things that are sabotaging you today. Because usually what makes a person so successful can often haunt them all the time.
Yes.
And so for you, what you wanted to achieve, there were stumbling blocks getting in your way.
Yes, I wanted to have, I had peace of knowing Christ as my Savior, and I had peace of serving Christ, but there was a little more to my life, and I knew that there was something that I wasn't letting go of in life, and I needed to find a process to be able to get back and find out how to actually go back in, because I was restricting myself deep down inside from being all that I could be.
Yeah. And you didn't even know what it was that was messing you up.
No.
You know.
No.
And
But it was horrible, Miss Ann.
it was horrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah. And but you were willing to do the work.
Yes, I was. I think that probably when I started coaching, I might have been the longest student ever in history.
I don't think you were the longest student ever in history, but you were incredible, and you went above and beyond. And you were very good at taking constructive criticism to help you get better. And so Tommy had such an incredible story for his what's happened since coaching. So he wants to go through that a little bit, actually.
Yes.
And what do you think for you was the main turning point for you?
Actually stopping and examining myself deeper than actually that I could be more than what I was too at the same time. I could be the love. I didn't have to pretend, and I didn't have to pretend a lot of stuff. I was going to actually feel the love and feel complete.
And get rid of that anger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. The anger was horrible.
Yeah, that was horrible. Well, okay, cool. When we get back, we will finish up with Tommy talking about the coaching process and just to see how it has transformed his business, his life, his spiritual life, and his family life. So we will listen back with Living Well in just a few moments.
Follow us on Twitter for more great ideas at Voice America Empowerment.
It's time to access your magic. Tune in each week to Living in the Magic of Possibilities with your host, Glenise Hughes. Our topics cover finances, personal health, business, relationships, mediumship, and so much more. If you want to access all that is possible in your life, listen to Glenise and her expert guests who've turned the impossible into the possible. Living in the Magic of Possibilities is heard live every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
You have the power within to achieve anything, be it wealth, balance in your life, getting over your fears and roadblocks, and creating a positive impact on the world. Let Darby Mack show you how on the Powerful, Passionate, Prosperous Woman Show. Darby will bring you the tools and tips that you need to make it all happen with engaging guests and topics that will help you make your dreams come true. The Powerful, Passionate, Prosperous Woman Show is heard live every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, noon Eastern Time on Voice America Empowerment. How do you achieve balance in your life? Is it when everything runs in perfect alignment with each other? Time, money, and life? You can keep everything in nearly perfect balance. Listen for Be Mighty with K.D. Marley, which is made up of two people, K. Mar and D. Lee. The hosts have worked with small business owners to find the best and most systematic way of tracking both time and money in order to achieve work-life balance to their advantage. The show can help you too. Listen Fridays at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
We're on Facebook along with some of the greatest minds of the world, and that includes you. Visit us on Facebook at Voice America Empowerment.
You are listening to Living Well with Ann Beal. We'd love to hear from you with comments and questions about the show. Please send us an email to ablivingwell@gmail.com. That's ablivingwell@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's show.
Welcome back. This is your host, Ann Beal, on Living Well. We are talking with Tommy Kirby, a CEO, business owner, very successful businessman, about the spiritual life of a businessman. And right before commercial, we were talking about his coaching, life coaching experience, what brought him in, what led him to really come in for coaching. What did you say you were?
Excuse me, Ann?
What did you say you were? Why did you come in for coaching?
I was pretty angry.
Angry.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought you used the word miserable a little while ago.
Miserable and angry, yes.
Yeah. What do you think the misery was from?
It was from a deeper anger from possibly a child, and then through my guilt and pride of neglect in my family, and there was a lot of different things that the process was all connected together. It was a connection.
Well, so the anger was it just built up over time honestly, you had a lot of years of really successful work, but you probably had a lot of people you got angry at. Mm-hmm. Did you ever, because you were such a pleaser. You are everyone loves you. You should have heard the town of Hazlitt when they heard you were going to be on today. Oh, Tommy Kirby, everybody loves him, right? Mm-hmm. So you stuffed a lot of the dark emotions.
Mm-hmm, yes. It helped me to realize that even though people loved me, that I needed to love myself, and I needed to know that I was acceptable to myself. And with coaching and everything, it went back and had me examine my life from childhood until the day that of all the coaching, and it was a great thing.
It was a great thing.
It was a great thing.
I think a lot of people are like, no. But for you are you saying that you didn't like yourself?
Well, I did on the outside, and actually. How
do you like yourself on the outside?
Yeah, I really. Well, it's different, It's kind of like I was a pleaser, or sorry. Or a pleaser, or and I was also a critic too, and
a critic to yourself.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, and so, it kind of kept me down to where I was guilty, all the time about I just need to quit pleasing people so much, or I need to quit being critical of myself because I'm not pleasing them.
Well, a perfectionist, which I know you are. Mm-hmm. The critic kind of drives the perfectionist. It also beats up the perfectionist when you can't be perfect, right?
That's exactly right.
And so the negative talk was really tough on you, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the negative talk about yourself, then that means you were angry mostly at others or yourself?
Actually, I didn't get angry at a whole lot of people. I got angry at myself more than anything. And so people didn't ever see that side of me, And
you wouldn't want a lot of business with that.
No one wants somebody that's angry all the time.
Yeah, because I know working through getting rid of sabotaging behaviors, mm-hmm. I could see that beating yourself up all the time would make you and not liking yourself on the inside.
That's correct.
Okay, mm-hmm. That you would really want to deeply desire to get rid of that. To get rid of that anger and that self-hatred, mm-hmm. Because you would have to pretend so much. Mm-hmm. And so, did anybody really know Tommy Kirby?
Not at that time. Tommy Kirby didn't really know Tommy Kirby.
Well, that's good. As far as when you said not at that time, because people know you now, don't they?
Mm-hmm, they sure do.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So for you, you got lost. You started having some addictions. Mm-hmm. You had all the power and money, and you did meet your own desires a lot. The desires of your heart you really met, as far as doing the things that you loved on your free time. Didn't take a lot of time for your family as much as yourself. Mm-hmm. So when you came in, you looked good, but you felt bad, right?
Empty. Yes. Yeah. And angry.
So going through the coaching, the process, what do you think was the most helpful?
Well, being able to examine myself through the period of my life, and being able to reconnect and rewire myself back into a true self, and realizing that that there was false self in my life, and being able to rewire myself back to a healthy spiritual, true spiritual.
So when you say true self, you mean the true you,
Yes.
Tommy, the
Yes.
person you are now?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And then when you say false self, you mean that person that when you hated yourself and you maybe behaved very selfishly and did all the things you really didn't want to do. Like, okay, you wanted to, but you wish you hadn't.
Yes, it's kind of like the dark self could be the pleaser, the critic, or the perfectionist.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
So for you, rewiring meant to get rid of that sabotaging behavior.
Yes.
Because the critic can be helpful if it's not so negative, right?
Right.
So I think, are you talking about the retreat then, when you go and you rewire?
Oh, Lord, the retreat. I'll tell you, that retreat is it's an experience of life that I will remember probably for the rest of my life. Being able to go back and think about the sin and the wrong that I had done, and the guilt and the pleasing and the selfishness and all these things, and going back and getting all the false me up forward, and then turning around and letting the true self of me forgive myself.
Yeah, and I think that forgiveness is so important, no matter what you call it. I think that you did forgive yourself. You forgave yourself. I mean, I always ask people that they need to forgive themselves more or other people, and in your case, it was yourself. And I think if I can say anything about coaching for you, you became free.
Yes.
You were so free after. You just felt like the anger was gone, the disrespect of yourself. Because I think that before I met you, you were very disrespectful to yourself in a lot of ways. You had fun, but yeah. So getting to the point where you were free.
Getting to the point where I was free. It was free.
Yeah, you're free now?
Yeah. And most of the, even though Christ had given me freedom when I accepted salvation, I knew Christ, and I still was praying to Christ, even when I was angry, and even when I was a critic and a perfectionist and all those things. I wasn't allowing myself to release myself to freedom. And I knew that being bound down with the false self, that I needed help. And
well, the false self is, it's just all the dark emotions that it tries to get you to meet the needs in very unhealthy ways. So you found out your needs, your real needs, your real values, and I see you're living your values now. And so coming through coaching and becoming really healthy. How's it affected your business? I mean, when I say healthy, I think of you as really seeing who God sees. This wonderful creation that He's made you a certain way, and you've experienced, He's, of all the stuff you've been through, it's exactly where He wanted you to be now. And so all that stuff, the only person it's holding down is inside you. And so when you let that go and you just are willing to be what God made you and just go for it, like somebody left the gate open, just run for it and be like, so what's happened to you now?
Well, being in business for so long, you got to realize 40 years is a long time. Probably some of the listeners are not even that old.
Yeah, probably not.
But, I had learned to be happy and satisfied like that. And today, that was working on myself and for myself. But today, being free, I actually rely on most every single thing that I do on the spiritual life that I lead as well. And I trust now in a Savior that He's going to take care of me.
How does that look in your business?
Well, I kind of kid around a little bit about most of the time, because I can tell my clients that if you want to talk about the devil, I can tell you about the devil. If you want to talk about the Lord, I can talk about the Lord. But they understand that I am a work in process continuously to perfect the spiritual life that I have freedom to choose.
Do you make more money now or less money?
I have no problems with money. I do want to tell you, and it's I have absolutely given my business to the Lord, and I don't have to worry about money at all. In jobs that we may bid or jobs that we may be doing, actually, I don't have to worry about them because God takes care of me every day and every second and every minute. He protects me, and He protects those that work with me. And I pray for them continuously, and I pray for myself continuously for good health, prosperity, and being trusting to Christ.
Well, and I think people, if there's businessmen listening, what they want to hear is that this made your business better. Mm-hmm. I think that people might be afraid if you take away a lot of the things that inspire you and that push you and push you and push you and beat you up, that perfectionist kind of stuff and all that guilt and shame that mm-hmm. drove you, that's what pushed you. You take that away, your business would go down. Mm-hmm. Did that happen?
No, it did not. Actually, it got better. He gave me relief. He gave me freedom. He gave me a spiritual well-being, and knowing that God is in charge of my day and in charge of my life. And it's been a wonderful thing. It's been a process. I believe God had sent me for coaching, and because I wouldn't let loose of some of my old habits and stuff, and I didn't realize it. I'm thinking, a lot of times men want to say, well, I really don't need this. It's no pain, no gain. But that's not so. You don't have to be in that pain. You can let God have that pain. And you can trust in Jesus Christ to head you in a direction that you need to go. And if, the world is looking at you continuously, and as you perform, you need to perform with ease, and you need to perform with a good spirit about you. And a lot of times it's tough to be a good Christian businessman because, and the reason why I'm saying this, Ann, is because the business world, a lot of business people still, they do foul things that I don't care to do, but God has always directed my path, and since I have surrendered more to Him and give more of my life and my love and my kindness and my goodness to Him, He has sent me in a direction that I don't even have to worry about money. I don't have to worry about scheduling. I don't have to worry about the process anymore because I have got freedom with Christ.
And you and your family.
Yes, my family does too, and they're going through a healing process too.
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
But they are so thankful that
Yes.
you have healed, and they're
Yes.
so thankful for this new Tommy.
Yes.
And your wife talks on Facebook a lot
Mm-hmm.
about it, and I think that the transformation to have their dad back and their husband back,
Mm-hmm.
And yet have you still be successful and the whole family to be successful. Mm-hmm. Now, if people want to reach you, how would they reach you?
At www.ratechconstruction.com.
Ratech, RATECH?
RATECH.
Construction.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that'll be awesome. And so as far as hearing about the successful life of a businessman, this was Tommy Kirby today telling about his personal experience, and he really has come through and everything is flourishing for him and his family. And we have enjoyed having you today. We hope you enjoyed the show. We look forward to having you again next week. And thank you for listening. And Tommy, you want to say anything before we go?
May the Lord bless you, businessman.
May the Lord bless you.
Yes.
All righty.
Yes.
You guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving and enjoy your families.
Yes.
Thank you again for joining us. Living Well with Ann Beal airs live every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. We can't wait to see you again next week.